Hello, and welcome to The Topic, where we highlight Houston Community College, our students, our programs, and our reach into the community. Today is part of our continuing special topic series called Financial Focus. Every other month, we bring you ideas for working more skillfully with your finances to live your best life, take care of your family, and benefit your community. I'm Daniel Scholl, one of the financial coaches here at HCC. You know, it's not quite August yet. And, we go to the grocery store and the shelves are already full with back to school supplies. Whether you're a new student or a returning student, it's always a good idea as part of that preschool preparation to make sure that your finances are ready for the new academic year. Today, I'm joined by another one of our financial coaches here at HCC, Janice Wheelwright-Griffin. Janice, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Dan.
How you doing?
I'm great.
You having a good summer?
I am.
Excellent. You ready for school to start?
And I am.
Me too. Let's make sure we get everyone else ready here as well. What I'd like to start is, the first question financially most students have is, what's going on with my financial aid? Where do students really need to start as they prepare for the fall semester?
Well, the first thing you need to do is find out exactly where the financial aid office is or how to contact them online, because it's important to make sure that all your student data is up to date, whether that's your telephone number, your email address, all the good information that you're going to need in order to stay in communication with financial aid. But you want to make sure you know exactly where to go and who to talk to get your questions answered.
Now, students, you said they can go online, that's through like the virtual lobby. Do they have to go to the campus that they're taking classes at, or can they go to any campus with questions?
You can go to any campus, and we often encourage you to also utilize the virtual lobby. We have great financial advisors who have a wealth of knowledge that can answer any of your questions.
Now, one thing I hear from students, pretty much the first day of classes, they're like, "Hey, I need my refund. I need to pay my rent. I'm really struggling." What's the deal with refunds?
Well, refund basically it's the cost of college minus the student loans you've taken out, and the balance of that, of course, is your refund. You can go to the website to see when those disbursements will actually happen, but technically, you want to make sure that you know that your refund options are set up online properly, and you want to know the dates that actually you're to expect those refunds. And you can find all that information online, or of course, if you have questions, you can contact your financial aid office.
And when you say financial aid office, we don't want you to talk to the financial coaches about that one. Actually, you're going to need to talk to a financial aid advisor. A little bit different. Now on the refunds, when can students expect that? I mean, is it the same time every semester?
No, it actually depends on start date of class. So that's why it's real important to know when that disbursement schedule is. And like I said, that information can be found online. And if you have questions, you can definitely ask someone in financial aid.
And it seems like that'd be important because really, if you know when that's coming in, it's going to be easier for you to plan as the semester goes along.
Absolutely. Because again, much like you said, individuals are trying to determine how to budget, what to do with that money. And so I've had many students say, "Hey, I started class on Monday. Am I going to get my refund by Friday?" And of course, that's not going to happen.
So would you say students need to start thinking about that budget now before the semester even starts?
Absolutely. Pre-planning as well as knowing what to plan for is very, very important.
Okay. Now, I always, I'm a financial coach. I talk to people about planning. I always hear people talking about planning. One of the things that people say is, well, how do you plan for emergencies?
Well, the thing is that it's not if an emergency is going to happen. It's or when emergency is going to happen. It's going to happen.
Right.
So we have to prepare for it. So the best thing to do is set aside an emergency fund. So know what kind of expenses you're kind of projecting that may happen. And then, of course, planning for those emergencies.
Is there a certain amount that you feel a student should have set aside in an emergency account?
Great question, Dan. And we get asked that question a lot. And we always feel like $500 is a good baseline to start with in terms of an emergency fund.
Okay. So, some students have told me, "Hey, I need to pay for school. That's an emergency to me." Is that really an emergency?
No, because again, going forward, you should know pretty much what those expenses are in terms of schooling. An emergency is something unexpected, much like a flat tire or an unexpected access code that a professor assigns to you that wasn't in the syllabus, things of that nature, things that were unexpected, unplanned, that's an emergency.
Okay. So what's, aside from the $500, what other strategies do you have to prepare for emergencies? Like, I hear sometimes people talk about safety nets and support groups.
Correct. Well, being part of the Houston Community College, we have a great resource network. The financial coaches have access to United Way Thrive Network, as well as the other great resources we have here at HCC. For instance, we have the counseling department that can help you if you're experiencing an emotional situation. We have tutorials if you're faced with having an academic challenge. So going to the right place to get the right resources to help you kind of self-manage those type of unexpected things that may happen as you're going through your academic journey.
Well, and maybe we'll circle back a little bit later and talk about support and resources throughout the city. What about, like, when I was thinking about support network, I was thinking about, like, does everybody have like family and friends that they can rely on? Or
Sadly, that's not the case. And that's why, again, being able to reach out to the coaches who can connect you with some of our great community partners that are here to help our students as well as help in the community. So you may think you're alone in this, but actually you're not. There's certain organizations, and even the coaches can help you go through certain intake processes and the other things that those organizations require in order for you to get the help and the assistance that you need.
So one thing I hear from people from time to time is, it's really hard to save. And, we're here telling them, yeah, I get that, but you need to have an emergency savings account. What are some tricks to helping people save?
Believe it or not, Dan, the simple fact is you just got to start. You really have to. And I don't care how small it is, even if it's something as small as $5, setting that aside and saying, you know what, I'm not going to spend this. I'm setting this aside so that I can start. So at least I'll have something if something happens. So getting a good idea of what's needed, what you'll need in order to make it, knowing what you'll need in order to actually achieve your goals, and just starting that simple process. And sometimes it may be the first start of it may just simply be getting an accountability partner or calling a financial coach.
What about credit card? I hear people say all the time, well, I have a credit card that's for emergencies. Is that a good emergency plan?
It is not. One of the things that most of our students are faced with sometimes is they fall in the trap of either credit card debt or even afterpay. A lot of these afterpay programs that they have going on, they really don't understand it. And they think, well, if I do this, I can solve this situation quickly. But actually what's happened, we've created another problem. So again, get with a coach, let them address your situation and find the best workable option for you.
Gotcha. That sounds like a great plan. Janice, we're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, I'd like to talk to you a little bit more about, there's still more expenses that we need to talk about. These are things you'll be doing right now, but let's talk about what happens when school actually starts. We'll be back in 60 seconds.
I'm learning healthcare management while providing patient care.
I came back to grow my skills, even after I graduated.
And if I can't make it in person, I take my classes online.
When a child is sick, there's one thing they need: a really big cookie.
Welcome to RMHC.
We're not big on poking sticks and beeping machines, but we're the best at playing dress up. We think the Tooth Fairy should travel everywhere, and while hospitals have doctors and nurses, we have mom and dad. Because at Ronald McDonald House Charities, we help families feel at home, even when they can't be.
Welcome back to the topic, Financial Focus Edition. We're continuing our conversation about getting financially ready for the fall semester with HCC Financial Coach, Janice Wheelwright-Griffin. All right, Janice, so we've kind of talked about, getting what you need to do to kind of get ready for the semester start, right? And so, okay, I've got some financial aid. I want to pay for my books. I'm going to pay tuition. I'm done, right? Everything else, is that the end? Is that all my students have to worry about?
Unfortunately, no.
Yeah.
Some of the things you might need to watch out for, especially if you're in a specific program, for instance, like culinary or probably the fire department program, because again, they require different types of equipment, uniforms, supplies, things that you're going to need to actually complete the academic course that you've decided upon.
Yeah, no, I know, for example, like in Coleman, a lot of students have to buy scrubs. Culinary, they're buying their chef's coats. Is that not something they can use their financial aid on, though?
Well, that depends. If the item's available in the bookstore, excuse me, they can actually utilize that financial aid funds for that. Something else I also would like to mention too is because we talked about budgeting and preparing for school to start. Don't forget tax-free day is coming up, and that's actually August 8th, and that could be a big savings.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. I hadn't thought about that. And also, right, with some of these expenses or some of these things that you have to buy, you can't buy through the bookstore. Now, I know students can use their financial aid outside of the HCC bookstore, but you got to let financial aid know about that. And there's dates on that, right?
That is correct. And what I would say again, remember we talked earlier about making sure your email address is up to date and checking your student email, because again, those updates and those notifications will be sent. And we are pretty good at texting as well in terms of letting students know about upcoming information.
So also I would say, maybe talk to your professors or your department heads about those unexpected expenses. Don't wait until the first day when the syllabus comes out.
Absolutely.
What about other expenses? I mean, again, we don't have for housing. People are going to need to start thinking about living expenses, but that's more than just rent, isn't it?
Absolutely. You have utilities, you have gas, transportation. I've had many students tell me there were things that they weren't expecting. Like you said, whether that is an access code or additional equipment. Sometimes, that famous fancy math calculator that you weren't expecting. Again, those are things that continue to come up and you need them in order to complete your coursework.
So how does someone plan for that in their budget? Should they put a line in there that says unexpected expenses?
Absolutely. In a little miscellaneous category, like I said, and that's where and so sometimes too, when you're being successful at that budget, and maybe you have an extra $10 in savings, maybe you need to stash that away into the miscellaneous category for something that may come up that you weren't expecting.
And what about, these are college students, right? They're going to be going on spring break. They're going to be, maybe dating, doing things that young people do. Do you got any tips or ideas on how to make that more affordable?
Well, of course, being a student, take advantage of the great student discounts. And again, many people do offer that. Look for things that are free, low, and no cost. Especially doing things like watching episodes of The Topic. As a matter of fact, I've seen many a times where many people like the museums and different things have offered programming that's quite affordable.
So the museums in Houston are great. And I believe it's on Thursdays. Most museums offer free or heavily discounted admissions here in the Greater Houston area. It certainly does make a great date. Now, one of the things too is, we tend to focus on the school year, but a lot of, students live still in after, I'm totally drawing a blank here. After their exams are over, right? Before the next semester starts, there's a gap. A lot of students are caught off guard by that. What can they be doing to make that financial aid stretch?
Well, I would say too, use your downtime to actually do things like pet sitting or gig work. Anything you can to increase your income while you're not in school. I mean, I think that's a great way. And also too, if you're looking for additional income and you're on financial aid, I think work study is a great option for those people who are preparing to go for the next semester, looking for those work study opportunities to increase their income potential.
All right. So tell me a little bit about work study.
Well, work study, like I said, and you have to get that approved through financial aid, but there are many opportunities on campus and off campus that pay a great salary for those students that are working, that are attending HCC, and they can work to supplement their income.
And you work for HCC or an approved nonprofit, right?
That is correct.
And I would say the nice thing about working with work study program, of course, is that your employer is HCC. We understand that you're a student. We're going to work around your schedule, your class schedule and all that.
Absolutely.
Any other benefits for work study?
Well, I think you get great real work experience. And I think that so many people have a lot of pride of attending a college as well as working at a college, and they really see the benefit as well as the resources that are available at HCC.
Yeah, and those jobs obviously don't go through the semester breaks, but you could be setting that money aside and use that money that you're earning to tide you over until your financial aid comes through for the next semester. If somebody is interested in financial aid, what do they do? How do they do? Who do they tell? What do they do with that?
Well, go to your financial aid office. Like I said, I really think the best thing to do is you can connect with them virtually. You can also speak with them on the phone. And of course, there's in-campus visits because we all know we consume information differently. So for those that feel better with a face-to-face and feel like they have a better understanding, we have excellent representatives that'll meet with you in person as well.
And I also believe that there are usually some work study job fairs that happen early on in the semester.
There are. We have some coming up. And so I always say again, by making sure you're checking in those student accounts and those text messages and those notifications, if work study is something you're interested in, definitely be on the lookout for those notifications.
Okay. And in terms of employment, I know some programs, encourage their students not to work. How does work study kind of factor in with that?
Well, again, like you said, we're very, very cognizant of the fact that students are students. But, depending upon what your program curriculum is, you can find work opportunities that can even benefit you. For instance, if you're in the medical field and you're looking to continue on in the medical field, possibly working in that could actually expand your knowledge base to actually help you in class as well as on the job.
And I'm sure you've run into this here at HCC as well. There are a lot of people on staff full-time who started out as work study students.
Absolutely. We have lots of success stories walking around here at HCC.
No, it's pretty amazing. I think that's great advice. Picking up, in those downtimes, picking up extra money, setting it aside, help you build for those emergencies in that time when financial aid is not there for you in between semesters. We're going to take one more break. When we return, we're going to talk about how to prepare for the long haul and what to do when things get a little tight.
I'm learning healthcare management while providing patient care.
I came back to grow my skills, even after I graduated.
And if I can't make it in person, I take my classes online.
When I was your age, I was just like you, fascinated by stars. But now I get to search for life in the universe. And who knows, maybe life is looking for us too.
So we're like aliens to them?
Yeah. Does anyone want to be a scientist now?
I do.
Awesome. We need more girls in STEM.
Maybe we can find aliens.
Things could be stranger, but I don't know how. I'm going through changes, through all of the strangeness. I'm going through changes now.
Hello, and welcome back to the topic, our Financial Focus Edition. We are continuing our conversation about financial preparedness with HCC Financial Coach Janice Wheelwright-Griffin. Janice, you and I were fortunate enough to teach a class this morning, and one of the students asked us, is it really hard to be an adult? And we said, well, do you want the truth or not? Right? Life's hard sometimes. You hit bumps in the road, and it can have an impact on your finances, and that can have an impact on how you're doing in school. So let's talk about some resources that can help. Now, you kind of mentioned a few things that we have here at HCC that help students, but I don't think you hit on all of them. Tell me about our resources here.
Well, like I said, we definitely have the counseling department, and they're of course are readily available to students to meet online and in person. And then, of course, like I said, through the financial coaches, we are part of the United Way Thrive Network. And so with that links us to a lot of community partners that can help with various topics, whether that's domestic violence, whether that is food insecurities, just a host of things that students are faced with in this very challenging world we're faced with, to help them achieve their goals.
One of the resources that I'm very proud of that I think we have here at HCC is our Eagle Market. Can you talk a little bit about that and how that works?
Yes. Back to the food insecurity, we have many of the locations, and they have distribution dates. And of course, that information is found online. But we have a lot of grab and go snacks. So it's a question of whether a student is trying to grab something to eat before class, or if they need to do full out grocery shopping. We can also help them get registered with the Houston Food Bank so that they can take care of more, a bigger need later on. But again, we have the Eagle Market available to students to help them face those food insecurity needs.
Now, is that something they can just show up for, or do they need to sign up?
Well, I have seen situations where they've been fortunate enough. Our student life coordinators are just absolutely fabulous. They have been able to take people on the spot, but they do like you to register so that it can accommodate everyone and make sure that they have what you need on hand.
Absolutely. And, if you had not visited one of the Eagle Markets, I think they're wonderful. And, they're really set up nice, and you actually feel like you're shopping, and, it provides the students, I think, with some assistance, but also with some dignity.
Absolutely.
In that as well. And then you mentioned the counselors. I can't remember. Did we talk about financial coaching?
And of course we have financial coaching, because we know nothing stresses you out more than money. Right.
Absolutely.
So again, and that's why I think the coaches do have the ability to offer those wraparound services, because what that does is it helps us be able to service the student holistically. As we're addressing the money need, we're able to support them with other needs that they also have as well.
And you mentioned resources. So, we do have a lot of resources here at UCC, but we are not resource providers.
We are not.
We are educators. However, we do realize that, students do need resources. We provide some that we can, but you mentioned that we might have to go to outside resources as well. You've mentioned a couple, but I know there's, I see things on campuses sometimes like Capital Idea, Texas Workforce. What are some of these partnerships that we have?
Well, certainly, Texas Workforce can help you actually get back in school at some of these entry-level programs, whether that's GED training, adult education. They also offer some literacy opportunities. Texas Workforce can help you with childcare needs and things of that nature. And we also have a scholarship page. And so when we actually pointed it out to the class we were teaching this morning, explaining to students that there are resources that can help aid in this financial burden that they're facing so that they can actually achieve their academic goals.
Now, one of the things I know with, looking for scholarships online is you got to be careful, like everything online. Do we address that on our HCC page?
We do. We actually, what we've done is we've kind of vetted most of those things that are posted on our page. So again, those are good, trusted resources. As a matter of fact, I actually coached a student that won the Houston Money Week contest. So that was a scholarship opportunity that he was able to gain. And so again, the coaches can help point you to and help guide you through some of those application processes so that you can be successful in applying.
That's pretty awesome. Great. Congratulations to your student.
Thank you.
Another resource that you can get as a student, we talked about discounted tickets to, I don't even know if they do movie theaters anymore. Do they?
They do.
They do. All right. Been a long time since I've tried to bust out a student ID on a movie theater, but, museums and things like that. Metro, we have Metro offices or something close to that on our campuses, right?
Correct.
How does that work?
And you can connect with the coaches. We do have a Metro discount cards available to students, because we also know too that one of the big students' needs, because Houston is so vastly spread out, transportation can be a huge issue. So we want to make sure that our students have affordability in terms of getting to campus.
Okay. And, we've talked about all this planning, and normally when you talk about financial, getting your financial house in order, the B word usually comes up, budgeting. Nobody likes to budget, but you're going to have to budget, aren't you?
You are.
You got any tips on better ways to budget?
It just really, and I say this too, that again, it's just important to start. And how do you start? You start with, what do I know I have to pay? You know you're going to have to get your books paid for. You know you're going to have to get your tuition paid for. And again, that's covered by financial aid. And then we talked about those items that are outside of financial aid, but are still necessary for your student success. So again, having a plan, having a budget, and that's all a budget is just a plan. It's just a plan for your money so that you can reach your goals, so that you can achieve the things that you'd like to achieve.
It's so true. It's really all it is a plan. And when things go awry, if you have a plan, it makes it easier for you to adjust. But I hear from students say, well, I don't have any money, so why do I bother budgeting? What would you say to that?
Well, again, we have to start. And again, we talked about how to monitor that is about our tracking. And again, getting on track, staying on track. And I say the budgeting is much like a GPS. And what is the two main components about a GPS? You got to know where you are and you got to know where you're going. So you actually need that. So you need that budget, you need that plan, and you need tracking to make sure you're staying on track. And the other thing, a great thing about the GPS, you know what happens when we make a wrong turn? What does it tell us?
It says, here's your new course correction.
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely help us keep on track. Janice, so just to kind of summarize, it sounds like, so to get financially prepared for the fall semester, first thing you're going to want to do, talk to financial aid, make sure all of that is squared away. Work on getting an emergency savings account and know what resources are available to you. Anything you'd like to add on to that?
And contact your financial coach.
Absolutely. Yeah, we do one-on-one financial coaching. How would they get in touch with us?
Well, if you search financial literacy on the HCC website, you'll be able to see the financial coach that's connected to your campus. And if you prefer a phone appointment, a virtual appointment, or in-person appointment, we'll make that available to you.
Great. Janice, this has been wonderful information. I want to thank you so much for coming in today and sharing your expertise with us. I'd also like to thank you for joining us here today on this Financial Focus episode. To listen to the podcast version of the show, visit hccs.edu/podcasts. For the topic here at HCC TV, I'm Daniel Scholl.